Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Jessica. Welcome back to Permission Granted, where you have the permission granted to speak openly and honestly about anything and everything without the fear of judgment.
That's right.
Who am I? My name is Darrell. I'm joined here by our co-host.
Jessica.
Oh my God. So before we get started, I wanted to say something about, previous episodes, we've said, we were going to talk about things, and I had someone make a comment to me. And a friend of mine, and he was like, you guys didn't talk about the forgiveness thing.
Oh,
because
really?
we ended up
Who?
talking about friendship. That was Chris, art teacher.
Oh, thank you for watching, Chris.
Yes. So, so I said in the very beginning, we veer off and, we change topics and stuff. But, the point is to, just watch and, listen to what we have to say.
Shut up and watch.
I also wanted to I wanted to give a shout out to Lindsay. Hi, Lindsay.
Hi, Lindsay.
Lindsay is a coworker who, definitely supports the podcast. I've had other coworkers who has mentioned, the podcast to me. Tatiana. Hi, Tatiana. She said, we're doing well.
Oh, great.
Yes. But Lindsay from day one has been a big supporter. And, she says she identifies with some of the stuff that we say. And, so thank you for watching, Lindsay. And hi, Yolanda.
Because if you're watching, we know that you are.
Yes. So today, I wanted to give Jessica a chance to, dive into her story. The very first episode of Permission Granted, I was here alone. Jessica abandoned me. And
he selfishly talked about himself.
Yes, and I talked about myself. How dare I introduce myself? But so today's episode, we want, let's learn about our co-host, Jessica, my best friend. So,
You think so?
Yes, I know so. So, before I get to the questions I have for you, just, give a little intro.
Well,
about yourself.
I think
Another.
Yeah,
more
I think
in depth.
In the last 2 episodes that we have on YouTube that people have learned just a little bit about me.
Yeah.
I know that there was one comment somebody had said that I was very transparent, and I appreciated it.
Yes.
I don't really know what transparent means. But
You're honest.
thanks.
You're
okay, cool.
see through.
Yeah. I wear.
But not
I
in
wear,
a bad way.
I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I'm very easy to read.
We have that in common.
Yeah. I'm just But I've always been that way. I also think that in this time of my life, I'm even discovering parts of myself that I didn't know existed.
Yes.
And a lot of that is thanks to you. But as far as a little bit about me, hopefully your questions or your conversation topics open up some.
Because that's the
stuff.
goal. Because the questions, I don't have anything prepared. Outside of in my mind,
Right.
I'm not Oprah. In real life, anyway. But I hope the questions that I do ask you will lead into other conversations where we can still get, to know.
Yeah.
The Jessica deep inside.
Yeah, I'm a lot. I think that's
As am I.
That's
and together
pretty,
we're too much.
a simplified description of myself is
Yes.
a lot. I'm just a lot.
We should get a t-shirt that says that.
I'm a lot.
I'm a lot, you're a lot, and together we're too much.
I like
that is us.
I like that.
In a nutshell. Yeah.
I'm pretty in your hole.
Oh my God. But do you have anything else to say as a little introduction?
No, well, I hope that I can go into these conversations openly and honestly without the fear of judgment.
Yes.
And that I have the permission granted.
You do. So how about this? You're very open about being insecure.
Oh, very, yeah.
Where does your insecurity stem from?
A lot of insecurities are rooted from my childhood, and going through puberty was a really big part of puberty. You're discovering yourself in your teenhood.
Yeah.
I think the easiest way to sum it up is my parents divorced when I was really young, because that's always how it happens.
Yeah.
And when they did, I think my mom expressed her the way she was going through it was by just food and cooking. And so, as a child, you eat what your mother makes you.
Yes.
And the more food my mom made, the more I ate, and the larger I became.
Yeah.
And my dad is a very, very old-fashioned, stereotypical Latino, and he just was not okay with the idea of his only child, his only daughter, being fat.
Yeah.
And growing up, the only thing I ever really knew my dad to be was just very mean. And every time, so my parents had, I guess my mom had full custody and my dad had like visitation. So he would pick me up on the weekends,
Yeah.
or just Saturdays. And each Saturday I saw him, rather than being like, "Oh, Mihai, I miss you so much. You're getting so big." It's, "You're getting fat, and it's ugly. And if you continue to be like this, then you're going to look like everyone else in your family," because everyone in my family was just like large,
And in charge.
that's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like obesity is like a thing in my family, and he wanted to avoid that at all costs. And so I think my depression is, I don't blame my father, but he's a big part of my insecurity, because in the time where I was supposed to be growing up and not caring about what I looked like, he made me believe that what I looked like was not okay.
Wow.
And that's all I've ever understood.
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate. So, what we're going to do, obviously, I'm going to ask you your questions and you'll answer them, and I'll try not to interrupt you, and then I'll give my little feedback, and then we'll move on to another question. So, I mean, that's a lot to unpack. And I always, I grew up without a father, nice little stereotype. And the man that I was told was my father, I don't believe was my father.
Right.
I just don't. But I'm relating it to, I always think to myself, is it worse to grow up with a parent and not have like the greatest relationship, or just to not grow up with that parent at all? Because I guess what I'm trying to say is, does it hurt more to not have a father, or have a father who makes you feel less than? Does that make any sense?
It does. It makes
Not
a
that
lot
we
of
should
sense.
be comparing pain,
No,
but that's
I'm
just
not
something
taking
I
it that
always
way.
think about.
No, I it's a really interesting thing to think about,
Yeah.
because when you have two people who have those exact problems, it's hard to, because I could easily say, well, with the way my father treated me, I wish I never had one.
And then I'm like, well, I didn't have one.
Exactly.
But no
I
one
mean, I
wins,
think
you know?
either of us wouldn't even be able to know what
Right.
the true answer is, but
But, and the last thing I want to say about that is how you look is fine. And I tell you all the time.
right.
And because you're beautiful, look at you right now. You're gorgeous.
Thanks.
Okay. So, but yeah, that's unfortunate. And I hope that, well, you brought up your little sister in a previous episode. And she's a tiny little thing, obesity is not anything it looks like that she would ever have to deal with. But I hope that your father, has learned, that his old ways are not the right way.
I know that in more recent years, I've noticed that
Yeah.
he has a lot more hesitation when it comes to saying certain things about my physique or my appearance. Like, I think the most recent time he even said anything, like commenting on my weight, was like a year ago when I had first moved in.
You told me this, yeah.
And then he just hasn't said anything about it since then, because I learned to truly just ignore him
Yeah.
and his stupid comments.
Because
and
daughters
just let it
care
go.
what their fathers think of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
It sets the tone for your relationships with men for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And that like perfect example, just that being said, because I had gone through that with my father at such a young age, by the time I was like a teenager or a preteen, I had learned that I didn't want to be around him if that was all he was ever going to say to me. And I am lucky enough to have a really great relationship with my uncle. Permission to cry already. My mom's sister married a guy named Victor, and ever since he's been in my life, he's just been so important to me, and everything that, like, during that time that my dad wasn't for me, my uncle was. And my whole life I've been so grateful to just know him, and anytime I need him, he's there.
Yeah.
Drop of a hat, I would call him before I would call my dad. And more recently, as an adult, because my father is so close, like we live in the same home, there are things, so like conveniently I'll ask him, but like as far as like the desire to go to him first, it's just not there.
And that's okay.
Because I know a lot of what I would get from him would just be judgment.
Yeah.
So I'd rather call my uncle.
Yeah. But that's okay. And what's sad is when you're a child, when you're in it, there's really no one else to go to. Of course, you had your uncle, but what I'm saying is, as an adult, now you know I don't have to go to you. As a child, it's confusing because it's like, I want to go to you. Like, it's like no matter how bad you treat a child, the child is still just wants to be loved and they'll still keep coming back and coming back and coming back. But as you get older and now you're adult, thank God, you know what? If I need something, I can call uncle. I don't have to call dad, you know? Yeah. So, yeah.
Or even like, just like my relationship with all men in general, you know, not all of it has to do with like, well, I mean, I guess generally you would sum it up to like daddy issues because essentially that's just what it is. Because, you know, my father wasn't absent, but he wasn't as present as he should have been. And when he wasn't good. So that like messed up my relationship with a lot of men romantically. And, but mostly like family relationships, I gear towards other men to look for that relationship that a father should have given me. Absolutely. So even like my father-in-law, like he is another person that I would just go to before anybody. Like when it comes to like car troubles or I don't know how to do this in my house, and even just to like laugh with, like he's so funny. Yeah. And we talk to each other on a regular, and he's really, really nice to be around.
And he's beautiful.
Right. Yeah. And he is nothing like my dad. Right. And I think that's what I've always wanted as a father.
Yeah, and I said before, we don't want to get too spiritual because we don't want to exclude people, but I think that's how God works, in my opinion. He sends you people. When you know, he will always send you someone in place of like a proxy. Uh-huh. So you can have like a proxy dad or something like that. But
I have multiple fathers.
Right. I wanted to relate that to like your daddy issues. I guess I had both, not having a father, but then I had mommy issues. Because you said your father was there, but wasn't present. Well, was present, but not.
I said he wasn't absent. He was present, but when he was, it wasn't good.
Exactly. So that's thank you for that. And my mother was she was there. I said in the previous episode, she was there physically, but she didn't mother me. Mm-hmm. And that made me have a weird relationship with women. Particularly black women. I didn't trust black women for a long, long time.
Really?
I didn't. But you know that has changed. Mm-hmm. And before we get back to you, because I have a next question for you, I just want to say this is like I think the third, fourth time I've referenced my mother on this podcast, and it hasn't been in the greatest light. I just want to say, me and my mom are fine. Mm-hmm. I love my mother. I go see her before I have class, when I have to come to Jersey City for class. I saw her yesterday. She's lovely. I asked her today what she wants for Mother's Day. She's an excellent mother. She loves me more than I could ever imagine. Like when I see her, how she looks at me, I can see how much she loves me. I feel how much she loves me. She's an excellent mother. She's a changed person. People change. Mm-hmm. And she's a great grandmother, not a great grandmother. She's a great grandmother. My brother had it, so you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I love you, Mom. I just wanted to say that.
I love you too, Debbie.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that. My next question to you is, we talked about the insecurity. What is your happiest moment from your childhood?
Oof. I definitely say spending time in my grandmother's house. She had...
Well, you about to open a can of worms with your grandma. But this is about you. Go ahead.
My grandma had a house most of my life, from when I was born or a little after I was born up until I was about 13, 14 years old. Mm-hmm. And long story short, my mom is the oldest of 8 children. My grandma has 8 kids.
We have old moms. Yeah, love you, old mom.
My mom's not old.
Yeah, mine is.
But my mom's the oldest of 8 kids. So when my grandfather passed away, my grandma remarried and had 6 kids back to back. Boom. So those 6 children were all in our 20s. So during that time, my mom had me as well. Yeah. So I was an only child most of my life. Yeah. Like more than half of my life. And right. And so growing up in my grandmother's house with 6 kids all around the same age, it was like I didn't even need siblings, you know? Like I went there in the morning and I came home at night, but during that time when I was there, I still felt like I was at home. And so just being around children all the time, and then going to school with them, and then coming to their house and doing homework with them, and then after playing, and then I was there on the weekends, and then our families would come over, and it was the true definition of family time. It was just, it was sweet, it was fun, it was always so warm, and I just like my favorite part of my childhood was just being in my grandmother's home with my aunts and uncles. And my grandma just made it a really, really nice place to be. And I love her. And her name is also Debbie.
Wow. Great. I again, I didn't know you were going to bring up your grandmother. You, like everyone in my life, knows grandmother. My grandmother was my everything. So just to relate to that, it's so many things we have in, like, similar that I didn't realize. First of all, I didn't know that actually I met your grandmother.
Yes, you
and I guess I forgot. Let me not lie. I forgot that her name was Debbie. Mm-hmm. Yes, which is my mother's name. My grandmother's name was Sarah. She's not with us anymore. Refer back to the Oprah grandmother thing last episode. And she passed away, and when she passed away, I couldn't say her name for 2 years. But God is real, time is real, and God is time, and time heals. And so I just want to relate to your happiest moment as a child. I remember, I want to give a nice, positive story about my mother. My mother would, when she was doing whatever she was doing, I remember this one particular summer, every night she would take me to the store. Mm-hmm. When she was done running the streets, she would come home and she would take me to the store. And we would go to the store on Kennedy Boulevard and Clinton Avenue here in Jersey City. The store isn't there anymore. There's still stores there, but this particular store isn't there anymore. And we would walk hand in hand, and I love candy, you know that, and so does my mom. And I would get candy, and she would just get me whatever I wanted. And I looked forward to that every night. I remember my first bike my mother bought. I guess my point, that those are happy moments that my mother did give me, even in the midst of what she was going through. She realized that I needed that from her, and when she was able to step out of her illness, she provided that for me. And those are, I will never forget those moments. But the happiest moments for me in my childhood involve grandma. Now, my grandmother, she was the head of the family. And, I grew up in a home, again, like you, with the whole family. I'm about to drop names. There was my mother, Debbie. There was my Aunt Sheila. There was my Aunt Lisa. There was Rodney, who was my Aunt Lisa's, we call him Uncle Rodney, boyfriend. There was Butter. His name is Arthur. That's my cousin Terrence's father. That's Denisha and Justice's father. Okay. There was Daisha, which is Sheila's daughter. There was my brother Sharif. There was my little brother Mike, and then Rodney was born. And we were all in the same household. And it was chaotic, and sometimes there was always someone in the bathroom, or you wanted seconds, and, Michael Terrence had it because the youngest children ate first in our family. That whole, you feed the man first, that not in the grand family. You feed the children first. But my grandmother was the center of it all. Mm-hmm. Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, New Year's, like, she was just it. She was the shiznit. And when she passed away, it was hard on everyone. And I had to step out of myself and realize you're not the only person that lost her. But I do feel, and other family members may disagree, but I do feel I was the closest to her. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to say I took it the worst, because people show their grief in different ways. But it was really, really, really hard. So, yeah, I just want to say my happiest moments from childhood involve grandma, too, and being around the whole family. And it's so funny how addiction changes your mind, because I resented my family and all of this stuff when I was going through whatever. And forgetting that, those moments that I'm talking about right now. Mm-hmm. So it was always full of love and everything. So I just wanted to relate that to you. But I'm very happy you still have your grandmother. Oh, yeah. And I've been out with you and your mom and your grandmother, and I saw the 3 generations, and it's a beautiful thing. So I'm happy you still have that, and cherish it.
I love my grandma.
Yeah. Okay. So you talked about your father, right? Mm-hmm. Tell us we're going to get to mom, of course, but tell us some good moments with your dad, things you hold near and dear to your heart.
So one of my absolute favorite memories, and I would even go as far as saying like one of my first memories with my dad was when he was in, the whole midst of getting his citizenship and, didn't have a car or a license, or you just working like just terrible jobs. And my mom didn't have a car or license either, but she worked down the street from where we lived. She worked like the really early shift. They both did. But my dad only had one method of transportation, and that was his bike.
Oh.
So my dad, like, oh my God, every time I think about it, it
That
makes
should
me
be
so
a book,
emotional.
The Immigrant and His Bike.
Oh my God. So he would, and I remember this specifically being like in the winter time too. I would just be like bundled up in my big puffer jacket, and my dad would put me on the handlebars, and he would ride me to my grandma's house in the morning at like
That's so
4:00 in the morning.
cute.
So we would like all like get ready to leave at the same time, and he would kiss my mom goodbye. She would walk to work, and he would ride me to my grandma's house every single day until he got a car.
I love that.
And then their process was, once my dad finally got like a license and a car and everything, he would take me to my grandma's house, and and this is how I know that my parents truly at some point loved each other, because again, my mom's job was like down the street from where we lived, but when he got a car, he drove the both of us to my grandma's, and then drove my mom back to work, and then took himself to work. Because he didn't want her walking anymore.
Well, that's what he was supposed to do, yes.
But, it's like, okay, I'm leaving, I'm going to work, bye. No, he did that extra step for her.
Well, he's still... Yeah.
We won't go there.
Yeah.
For anybody who's watching who knows.
Not gonna happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Gallo. But, yeah, I don't know. When it was good, it was good.
Yeah.
And then when it wasn't, it was not.
When it was good, it was good. I like that.
Yeah. But, and the other things, little things, and this is just my fat side, but the food, oh my God, the food when my parents were together. Like, first of all, my dad taught my mom how to cook very traditional, like Ecuadorian, just Latino foods. And oh my God, like, it's just the way that my parents cooked together. First of all, they always did it together. It was never just my mom when it came to, like, cooking meals and cleaning and everything. Like, he did a lot of that. She had, like, the upper hand once she kind of, like, knew how to navigate the dishes that he liked. But sometimes he would just take full control of the kitchen. And,
I have an uncle who cooks more than his wife.
yeah. Like, I mean, I'm always going to say my dad's, like, again, super stereotypical, old-fashioned, machismo. But he has his moments where it's like, oh, that's nice. But... like, just the food, and it was so good. But my favorite meal that
like
we
you
made.
Can see it, like...
Yeah, I'm looking at the sky, like, I'm imagining all the food in my head. Like, when we go to the beach, my dad would make ceviche. So good.
Yeah.
But my absolute favorite thing to make, and I make it myself to this day.
Wait, let me guess. I've had it.
Yes. You tried it.
Is it the soup?
No.
What is it?
It's the tuna with the rice and the onions.
With the onion, okay.
Oh my God.
That's your favorite?
That's my absolute favorite thing. And my dad
I did
always,
like it, yeah.
My dad always had that. He would eat that and a glass of Sunny D. That's my dad's favorite juice. He loves Sunny D. And so we would sit down, like, that was like
Thanks for telling me that.
That was like our struggle meal.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, times are a little tough. Let's have some tuna with rice. And you can have it like for lunch or dinner. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you're feeling crazy, you can have it for breakfast.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, such a good meal. And that's definitely one of my favorite things. I had something else in my head. Oh, my dad, we've talked about this before, actually very recently.
What?
My dad was like crazy, like he was weird with cereal. His favorite he was a monster. He would get the corn pops.
Yeah.
C-O-R-N-P-O-P-S,
My grandmother liked corn pops. Yeah.
He would get that and just raw dog it. Just eat it like popcorn.
Yeah.
I think he thought it was. I really don't know.
He probably did.
Yeah. Oh, his little brain. Yeah. So he.
Because he read. You know how I joke about Spanish speakers? He read it backwards. Popcorn.
Oh my God.
Instead of corn pops.
Yeah. Honestly, that would not surprise me. But yeah, he wouldn't even like eat it like regular cereal. Yeah. He would eat it out the bowl or put it in a bowl.
Put melted butter on it and salt.
Probably, but he would put it in a bowl and just eat it like that, or straight out the box.
Delicious.
But, and let me specifically say not cornflakes,
Yeah.
even though that was in the house. Frosted Flakes.
Mm-hmm.
Frosted Flakes he would put sugar on.
Yeah, me too.
And then he would warm it up. And he put it in the microwave, make
No.
it warm. He
He likes
always
soggy cereal, like
likes
me.
soggy cereal,
I
yeah.
can only eat cereal soggy.
He likes warm, soggy cereal, always.
Delicious. I love that man.
Yeah, so
But you know I
just-
love your father.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Like I won't say that all of my memories with my dad are bad.
Good.
There are a good chunk of them that are very, very pleasant and to think back. I remember one time, when it was the first time my mom ever made like the tuna and the rice again after years I hadn't tasted it, and then she made it and she bought a fucking bottle of Sunny D, and I was like, are you kidding me? And I was like almost done with my food, and I just sat back and I looked around and I was just like, the only thing missing right now is my dad, and that sucked. That broke my heart. Like it was nice, but it also like tore me apart at the same time, because I was like, we did this with my father and he's not here.
Yeah. I mean, that's the sentiment I think a lot of children of divorce who were blessed to come from a two-parent household and then their
Right.
parents divorce. I think that's always a sentiment, like something will happen, a moment, a TV show, a commercial, a song, a smell, something will remind you
Yeah.
of that perfect moment when it was all three of you or four of you, whatever, when they were both parents together. Yeah, but I it's good that you have good memories of your father, but not but, period. The problem with that, though, is the bad things are so damaging that you sometimes forget about the good things.
A lot of the
You know?
time, yeah. Sometimes I feel like they just completely outweigh the good, and there's no even reason to remember how good they were at some point. And I think I just get a little in my bag too much when it comes to my dad. I think there's a lot of resentment, and even though sometimes I talk about like forgiveness,
Yeah.
I feel like in the back of my head there's a small part of me that like really never forgave him.
Well, that's on. Well,
That's
what would I
that's
say
on
to
me.
that? That's on
Yeah.
you. Because again, just to relate it to my mom, I definitely had to forgive her. And it took a long, long time. I forgave her while I was in rehab. I sent her a letter, and I said, my feelings have changed, and I said the true test would be, or at least I thought, I don't know if I put this in the letter, but I knew in my mind the true test would be when I'm around you again. Will these feelings resurface? And they didn't. But I was able to forgive her in rehab because my therapist, who I'm still in contact with, he watches the podcast. He left a comment on one of the videos.
I have to see.
He said your mother did the best that she could.
Right.
And so many people have said that to me. But I guess I needed someone who didn't know me, who had nothing invested in me. Because he was going to get paid whether rehab worked for me or not, is what I'm
Right.
saying. I guess I needed someone outside of my everyday life to say it. And it finally clicked. And when he said it, I instantly got it. She did the best that she could with what she was going through.
I never ever thought about things like that until you told me that story.
Yeah.
And so I guess I would like to rephrase what I had said. I have forgiven my father. It took a really long time to.
Okay. Which is fair. Forgiveness doesn't happen overnight. And
Right.
it shouldn't.
No, absolutely
Because
not.
you have to work through what you need to work through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think that I'm just so in shock of everything that he had put me through.
Oh. Yes. Yes.
That sometimes it's hard to remember that I had forgiven him for ever doing those things to me.
Yeah. But and luckily for you, you're not an addict and you didn't do things where your mom had to forgive you. Because she definitely had to forgive me for a lot of things.
Like what?
Well, one thing that still sticks with me is just her when I would just disappear. Like, I can't imagine what it's like to go to bed at night and you not know, as a mother, whether or not your child is dead or alive. I can't imagine what that's like. And, but we've moved past that. And, she said she's forgiven me, so we're good now. And, it's all love. It's all love. Yes. There was something else I wanted to say, but I'm forgetting now. So we'll move along. If it comes back, it comes back. About your mom, what are the not so greatest memories with mom from childhood? And then, of course, we'll go into the positive, of course.
I mean, the first thing that sticks out to me is her second marriage,
Okay.
and my relationship with her during that time,
Mm.
and it was really bad. Like, I didn't feel like she defended me or stuck up for me in the times that she should have. I felt like I had pretty much kind of just been ripped out of the picture at that point. Like, it was just her and her husband, and I just lived there.
Yeah.
And I remember it never bothered me at the time because I guess I really just didn't care. But looking back on it as an adult, it really does not sit well with me that it ever happened. But there was a point where I like habitually call him my stepdad. Even I don't care for him in any way. Have no
And we had a
respect.
conversation about that because
Yeah.
I'm like, is he your mother's husband or is he your stepdad?
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
I wanted to mention it because
Mhm.
again, it just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
Even if they divorce, I'll probably say like my mom's ex-husband, but like he's my stepdad, not because he's like granted that title, but just because he married my mom and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't have much of an opinion on the matter as far as like name titles and everything. I just call him my stepdad.
And everyone knows that I do.
Right.
Yeah.
So my stepdad had a friend who was traveling from like back and forth from Brazil to Japan,
Mhm.
and then he needed a place to stay while he was in the U.S. And he lived with us for I want to say maybe 10 months, a year, and he took my room. And that was it.
Yeah.
I had no say in it. There was
And how old were you
No.
at this time?
maybe I want to say I was definitely like in like upper middle school, probably
Okay.
like 7th or 8th grade.
Okay, so a child.
I was a kid,
Yeah.
yeah. And everything was in my room. I would have to go back into my room to, grab my clothes for the morning or the next day, or I had pet turtles. Like I had my turtles in my room.
Question. Sorry.
I
Permission
feel
to
like I
ask
know
you a
where you're
question.
gonna
No.
go.
Did your mother know this man?
She knew of him.
Then no. You're not living with my daughter. I don't. Even though I have the husband in the house, you're not like, no, I don't know you. I don't care how long you've known my husband. No.
I never knew about him until
Yeah.
my stepdad had mentioned that he was moving in, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where's he gonna sleep? On the couch? No.
That's
your
where he
room.
should have slept.
Right. No, he took my room with my posters and my bunk bed, and
Was the stuff taken down?
no.
Okay. Good.
No, none of that stuff was taken down, but I think it just doesn't sit well with me that a grown man with children of his own
Would even be okay with it.
one would be okay with it,
Yeah.
and two was comfortable sleeping in a little girl's bedroom. Now again, all of my clothes and everything were in there. I don't know what he's doing in the middle of the night, going through my drawers, like my underwears are in there, like I don't.
Yeah.
I had no idea, and at the time again, it didn't bother me because I didn't know any better. But
Right.
looking-
As you get older,
Yeah,
you're
I'm
like,
just
wait, it's not an okay situation.
Right. And then when he finally moved out, I found out that my turtle died, and it's just like there was like very like neglect, like
Yeah.
if nothing was taken care of because I just at that point it was his room,
Mm-hmm.
so I slept on a mattress in my mom's room on the floor, and
Wow.
and it was like that for a really long time, and it just felt very neglectful on my mom's part, and
It was.
yeah, it
Love
was.
you, frozen meatball. That's what I call her. My
Yeah.
frozen meatball. But yeah.
And I guess I've never really sat back to think about like, do I forgive my mom for this? Because it kind of just like rolled off. Like
Yeah.
it was never a big thing. I never made it a big thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's in your mind and your heart. You know, we learn in therapy that only you truly know that. But just from watching you with her, I think you have. But that's from the outside looking in.
Well, because I think what I'm trying to say is that there was nothing to forgive because I was never hurt by it. Like, again, it never really affected me.
Okay, okay.
I didn't realize how bad it was until I was an adult.
Yeah.
If it was something that was affecting me during that time, then there would have been something to have to forgive her for.
But sometimes we don't, in childhood, we don't realize some of the things that affect us until adulthood.
Right.
You know, again, it's a not so great story, but this is my truth. And, you know, if certain things didn't happen, then this wouldn't be my truth. But I remember when my Aunt Lisa was pregnant with my cousin Rodney, I was going to the store for her. She was hungry. She was pregnant. And I saw my mother get arrested.
What?
Yes. And I saw it and I just finished going to the store. Like nothing happened. And I told my aunt about it. And she was like, it's okay, Darrell. Like, you'll be okay. Which I don't hold fault. I don't hold her accountable for that. I mean, more should have been said, but again, she did the best she could at the time. That's what the best she had. Her focus was her baby. Like, I get it. Her unborn child or whatever. But I didn't realize until adulthood what seeing that did to me.
That's what we were gonna get to.
Yeah.
You said we would get back to it when we got there. When we're talking about that was the best she could have done.
Yeah. Yeah, and I saw that and it was horrifying. So my point is, sometimes, we don't realize that something has affected us in childhood until we're old enough to gain perspective and then look back and be like, oh, maybe this is why I do this or feel this or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, honestly speaking, I don't think that like phase ever really affected me.
Yeah.
In
Good.
much of a way.
Good.
Because, I mean, he kind of was just there. Like,
yeah.
He didn't do much. He didn't say much. He really was just visiting.
Yeah.
He had a plan when he got there, and he left after some time. And then I got my room back.
Okay.
Yeah. And he was nice. He was a nice guy.
So that sounds like just a caca situation, But I'm glad it didn't affect you. Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah. I mean, but as far as, like, negative moments, like, in my childhood with my mom, I'd say most are pleasant.
Good.
It's kind of the opposite with
That's the perfect segue. That's the perfect segue. So go into the best moments with mom, the ones like dad that you hold near and dear to you.
Well, actually, I feel like I'm drawing a blank now. I mean, no. I will say, because kind of the same thing, like, when my parents were together, like, the whole food thing.
Yeah.
My mom's food, yo. My mom she's just a really good cook.
Yes, she
and
is.
I love, like, now as an adult, I make a lot of meals that she made when I was a kid, or even, like, just like a teenager, like, foods that she started making after like, remarrying and everything. I make every once in a while. I remember, I think some of my fondest memories with her were during the time she was pregnant with Nathan, my brother. Because she was, I think those months of pregnancy, we were becoming so much closer. And I think, like subconsciously, we both knew that it wasn't just going to be the two of us anymore. And so we made our bond as strong as it could be.
Oh, yes, because the relationship is going to change. It's unspoken, but yes. Yeah. And
I don't know. Nathan's great. I can thank him for a lot of better times, in my relationship with my mom, because he was a part of a lot of the best times with her.
Yeah, I can relate to that. And I'm glad you didn't mention like any resentment towards that, because for a period of time, I resented the relationship that my mother had with both my brothers, actually, because they just didn't feel for her what I did. And it's so selfish because I wanted them to. And I'm glad they did it. And I'm glad they never did. My older brother, he was just, he's older. So he was just out of the house doing his thing. And his story is his story. We won't get into that. No drugs and stuff like that. But my younger brother, he, call him Mike, his name was Michael. He was the baby of the family until my cousin Rodney was born. And then, of course, Daisha had children. And now Mike has a child and Rodney has a child. But for the longest time, Mike was the baby. I'm forgetting about my uncle's kids, but they weren't in the household. And I try not to speak of my uncle and his wife. You know why, but for my family, I won't say why. Please keep that in. And so Mike was sheltered, and I'm happy he was, because I would have hated Mike to feel the things that I felt or whatever. So yeah, that's what I really have to say about that. I'm just happy you don't have like any resentment towards Nathan.
Yeah, no,
and the resentments that I had for the relationship my mom had with my brothers, that's obviously gone.
Hope so.
Yeah, right.
I remember the day my mom told me that she was pregnant. First of all, she didn't tell me. My aunt told me. And it was over the phone. I had just come home from school and I was doing homework. And my mom got home from work early that day. And she was on the phone with my Aunt Christina. And she came inside and she was like, Jess, Christina wants to tell you something. And so she hands me the phone. And I was like, hello? And she's like, congratulations, you're going to be a big sister. And I was like, I just couldn't stop crying, and I hugged my mom so tight. I remember I was just like falling off the chair and like sinking into her stomach because I was finally going to be a sister. And that's not true, but I was finally going to have somebody, a sibling at home.
Yeah.
Because at this time, and I just truly, honest, my hand to God, I did not know this, my sister had already been born, but I didn't know she existed at the time. That's another story.
Oh, yeah, she's older than Nathan.
She's older than Nathan.
Whoa.
Yeah, so long story short, my parents have children in separate marriages. But at the time, I didn't know that I had a sibling alive. So in that moment, I was just like, I'm finally going to be a sister.
Yeah.
I'm finally going to be able to, like, a part of me kind of hoped it was a girl because I wanted to have a little girlfriend, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because, I didn't care what the baby was at the end of the day, but I wanted somebody. And I was so excited. And then Nathan was born, and he was so cute and fat, and I love him so much.
Yeah.
And I remember only, like, just her entire pregnancy just being so happy and so excited, and I couldn't wait for him to come. But there was only one moment where I was like, well, when the baby is born, and my mom stopped me right there. She was like, what do you mean? Why'd you say it like that? And I was like, okay, I will never speak like that again. Because even when I said it, I knew I didn't mean it, like, maliciously. But a little part of me was like, all right, you're focusing a little too much on this baby.
Yeah.
This is important right now. Because I was in 8th grade.
Yeah, you were still
I was
a
in
kid.
8th grade going into high school.
Yeah.
And I was probably focused on, like, more important things like my graduation, my graduation ring, my cap and gown. Let's stop focusing on this baby right now. Focus on me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never had any resentment towards my mom being pregnant.
How do you feel about your family as a whole today? And I'm going to let you, like in the presently.
Yeah.
And yeah, I brought up the can of worms, so I'll speak after you.
Yeah. Today is a ship show. I wouldn't say that my relationship with my family it's definitely not the worst it's been. I'd say it is progressing. There are a lot of things that are unsaid with my family members and I, and a lot of that is because of me, because I refuse to speak on anything. I'm not very confrontational when it comes to my feelings.
Okay.
And a lot of that I think comes from my family. Because as a child, when it did come to me wanting to say certain things, it's just like, shut up, we're older than you. Like, what you say does not matter.
Yeah.
And, I not in any way to kind of like stir the pot, but I feel like it makes sense. Between a conversation with one of my family members and I, during a conversation between one of my family members and I, it was said to me that I was a coward, because I, wouldn't address certain things, with them, and, that simply that to them I was just jealous. And my response was, I was an only child my entire life, and you were the only people to look up to. So you call that jealousy, but you would rather call that jealousy when I had no one. I just wanted to be like you.
Yeah.
And
I remember the situation.
Yeah, and I mean, the situation is kind of behind me. I think I've moved on a little, but again, it's gone, like, just unaddressed. And I have intentions of kind of mending that, because at the end of the day, I am a very family-oriented person.
Yes, you are.
I at the end of the day, no matter how, severely messed up it is, or how this person said that, and all the drama, I love my family. I truly, truly do.
Same.
But it's hard, and, you can't like everybody.
No, and oh, I love this. I remember when I was working. Just a quick little thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was working at Keene University. Me, my little brother, and my mother used to work there, and we used to ride to work with this woman and her husband. And she was talking about her husband's parents or something like that. And she said something. She said, "When you're an adult, you don't have to like anybody." Mm-hmm. And I've said that to you. I've said it to several people, and because oh my God, I agree. Mm-hmm. Because when you're a kid, the people in your life are not forced in your life, but you're not choosing who's in your life. Mm-hmm. But as an adult, you get to, and like, you don't have to like anybody, whether mom, dad, sister, brother, hopefully you like your spouse, but like, you don't have to like anybody. So yeah.
Yeah, no,
Agree with that.
I mean, if I could say simply, like, if anybody in my family died, I would be devastated.
Right.
I would feel like my life was over because they were so significant. But I mean, there really is no but after a family member dies. But however, what I mean is, it really is just hard to like somebody that you are not like. If you don't get along, if you don't have certain things in common, if, the same way that you aren't friends with somebody because you don't mesh well, you could be the same way with a family member.
Yeah.
Like, it does not matter that they are family. I've always been, or more recently have been, an advocate for, blood is thicker than water. No, it's not.
Not in all cases. No, it's not.
I don't care about things like that. Because if you do me dirty, if you say something about me, if you don't agree with certain things, like, I at the end of the day, I do not care.
Yeah.
If you are my family, I'm going to put myself first. I'm going to put the way that I feel first. I don't care about you. I don't care what you have to say. Yeah. And that's not directed, that's not personal, that's not directed at anybody. That's just generally speaking. Yeah. I care about myself more than I care about you. Even if you're my family. If you're my best friend. I don't care.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I love my family.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a kid, had no issues or whatever. But again, drugs really messed up my mind, really messed up my perspective. Mm-hmm. And for a long time, I couldn't stand my family. The only people I didn't have a problem with was my little brother, my brothers, and my cousin Terrence. And my cousin Daisha, I didn't really have anything against her. Or my uncle's children, like, I really didn't have anything against them. But, like, my mom, my aunts, my uncle, I couldn't stand them. I just couldn't. Because I felt like enough wasn't done for me as a child. And enough wasn't done for me as a child. But I let all of that go. Again, I said I had so much freedom. I just wasn't disciplined in a way that I think I should have been. But again, people did the best that they could, and in their minds, I'm assuming they did what they thought was right. But again, that's all in the past, and it's all forgiven and in my mind and my heart. But yeah, I remember saying something, I can't stand these people, da 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 da. But I got over it. Because I got over myself and I realized I was just creating false narratives in my head. But I wanted to say something about the family and like when my grandmother passing away. I used to love being around my family. Like, again, I said earlier, Christmas and New Year's, Thanksgiving and stuff. But when she passed away, like family get-togethers, I didn't need to be there. My grandmother wasn't there. It wasn't the same, and it's still not the same. And I'm still a little, and my family, when they watch this, they'll probably be like, yeah, family get-togethers today. I'm still a little uncomfortable. Yeah. Because I'm not the same person. Drugs have changed me. And even though I don't feel how I felt when I was in the, the midst of the misery, as I call it, I still thought those things. So I still I don't feel that way. But when I'm around my family, it's like in my mind, you thought this about this person. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. And again, the biggest factor is my grandmother's not there. It just doesn't feel the same.
Yeah.
And it never will.
No, even with my grandmother still being alive and our family still being as big as it is, it just changed. At some point, it just changed. It had nothing to do with my grandmother. Because while she was definitely, or is still definitely a mold in, our family, mm-hmm. somehow in the midst of all of that, there was separation. Everybody grew up.
Yeah.
Everybody, we didn't live in the same house anymore. We didn't have to go to each other's homes all the time. And I think a lot of it was everybody was most likely just going through their own trauma, as finding themselves as adults. You get into relationships and then they don't work out, or, somebody had a baby and, this person doesn't want to see that person. And it becomes, everybody is dealing with their
Something.
own something.
And I'm happy you said that, because I just texted Yolanda, who I mentioned earlier. Hi, Yolanda. Yolanda's our boss, and I texted her today. I'm not going to say what, but I did say I'm still learning to get over myself. And I love that you said everybody's dealing with their own trauma, because it took me a long time to realize that I was not the only person dealing with things.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so simple. Like, Darrell, like, you're one person. Everybody else has their stuff. Like, you're just, so it's, I had to take myself out of thinking, why isn't everyone focused on me and what I'm going through? I remember I said to my mother before, I wanted an intervention. I used to hope that I would come home from Metro and like the whole family would be there to tell me how much they love me and how much they wanted me to get better. And it's like, why? But again, that's just the narcissism. Like, the world revolves around me. Like, why would I want that? As if I was going to be like, okay, I'm ready to stop. Like, Yeah, so I guess the point to me saying that is a lot of my feelings toward my family were delusions, things that I was just creating to not focus on what I needed to focus on. And my mom used to say that to me when I would go off on her, again, about her needing to forgive me. I would say some of the most horrible things to my mother. And I'm actually going to say this on camera, and I hope it's kept in, just for transparency. And just the person that I used to be. And my mom deserves me to say this on camera so people can, let me just say it. I remember I was going off of my mother, and she was like, and she would never cry, not in front of me, which, we've talked about that. My mother doesn't really show her emotions to me, which I can't stand, because everyone in my life, we're all very emotionally vulnerable with each other.
Next.
But that's who she is, and I've learned to accept that. And I know she loves me. That's what matters. But she was saying something about how I'm your mother and you shouldn't talk to me like this, da 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 da. And I was like, you're not my mother. I said, you had a child, and any bitch in heat can do that. Wow. And I mean, that's great shade, but
no tea, no shade.
Not to your like, really. And that, and I've said a lot of bad things to her, and I just can't imagine what it feels like to hear your child talk to you that way. But I got my comeuppance. I remember, I have my moments, and I'll just be at home, and I'll just start crying, and whatever.
And then I get an I love you so much text.
Yes, and my mom gets them, and several people get them, but I watched this video of this woman. She was in a car with her husband, boyfriend, or whatever, and she got a call from the coroner's office.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And soon as they said medical examiner, she lost it. And I immediately thought of my mother, how many nights she went to bed afraid that she would get the call that her son...
Permission granted to cry.
I'm not going to cry. Yeah, I can't imagine what it was like, and I mean night after night. And then I would, when I touched upon this in a previous episode about being locked away with my demons, when I would come home, and again, my mother doesn't really show her emotions, but I could see that she was happy to see me.
Or even just relieved.
That's what it was, relief. Yeah. Pissed off, angry, enraged, but relieved.
That her baby came home.
Oh. Relieved that her son was alive. I can't imagine what that was like, you know? But those days are behind us. Sorry,
I
sorry,
told
sorry.
you to tell Marlon to bring tissues to this
This,
episode.
sorry. This episode was supposed to be Jessica focused, but you know. Um, but yeah, we're past all of that, and I'm happy we are. I lost my train of thought. Yeah. But let's go back to you. No, yeah, we were talking about how we felt about family. That's what we were talking about. So as far as today, I'm sorry. As far as how I feel about my family, I love my family, and I know they love me. I can be a bit standoffish because I'm not the same person I was before. I don't really know how to explain that, but anyone who has dealt with drugs and addiction and stuff like that, you're not the same. I'm still me. I'm Darrell 2.0. I don't know.
You've upgraded.
But I love my family, and they love me, and I know that now.
Yeah.
And I cherish it. The Cosby Show, I remember Claire was talking to Vanessa, for those of you who know The Cosby Show, and she was like, I love you. And she said, most importantly, I like you. And I love my family, and I like my family. Listen, this is our platform, and there are things that I'm not going to say because I don't want to start stuff for my family, because I personally don't give a damn about speaking the truth about the situation. But there are two people who I don't respect, which is why I don't go to Thanksgiving. And I don't like the fact that my family acts like they don't know what the truth is.
Right.
I find it disgusting. But you know what? Because it's like, what is he talking about?
Right.
So that's something for my family that I've spoken about with you and other people, that I look at them, mom included, brother, aunts, uncles, and I look at them like they're crazy. Because my grandmother, I think she knew, but if I'm going to speak the truth about my grandmother, I'm sorry, we will get back to Jessica. See, everything, it's all coming out. I don't want to sit up here and act like my grandmother was a saint.
Right.
I remember my grandmother did raise us through her own personal struggles. And I remember one time we were homeless because my uncle kicked us out of the house. And I don't think you should kick family out. No. But unless you're doing it, like, if you have children, your children come before your family. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I guess that would be his reason, because he had children, and I guess things were going on in the home that he didn't care for or whatever. So maybe that's justified. But anyway, we were staying at the Hudson Plaza, the worst motel here in Jersey City, but the Hudson County Welfare was paying for it. And it's the first and last time I saw my grandmother cry. And to this day, maybe my family will correct me, I think I'm the only person in my family to see my grandmother cry. But again, that's one of the reasons why I cannot stand the fact that my mother doesn't show me her emotions. But she loves me, and I'm going to keep saying it. She loves me, and that's what I fall back on. No one loves me like that woman. My grandmother did not love me how my mother loves me. Mm-hmm. I know that, Mom. But yeah, we were staying there, and, I saw her cry. Fast forward, I was 17 years old. I was going to Dickinson High School, and I walked into my grandmother's room, and I saw her sitting up on her bed. I don't know if I told you this. And I saw her, nodding off like a drug stupor. Mm-hmm. And I knew that she had a problem, but I blocked it. But when I saw that, I couldn't ignore it. But I did like I used to do, and I acted like nothing happened, and I just went along my way. And I held that in for years. Yeah, so I Mom had a drug issue, Grandma had a drug issue, I had a drug issue. Hopefully it stops with me, because I'll be damned, if anybody else deals with that. But my mom was lucky enough to get clean. I think my grandmother did like the methadone program, where it's like a, oh Lord, we're really talking about this. Yeah, it's like a legal way for you to not get like ill, so you don't like you're not shitting on yourself in cold sweats and stuff.
I see.
But you're still. I don't know if it makes you high. I don't know. Heroin wasn't my thing, but yeah, I think that's part of the reason why she was gone too soon. I think my grandmother died at 64. But anyway,
wow.
yeah.
I thought she was older than that.
No, she was 60 something. She died young and beautiful. My grandmother was gorgeous. She never wore flats. My grandmother always wore heels.
Really?
Heels. That's why I don't like women in flat shoes. I hate it. You got on this beautiful dress and flat shoes. I cannot stand it. But anyway,
my grandma wears flip flops everywhere, everywhere.
But yeah, I love my family. I like most of them. Yeah. Just the two I don't care for.
Yeah.
Don't respect them.
I like some of my family. Yeah. I love all of them in very individual ways.
Yes.
But I can't say I like most.
Oh, well, damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, is there ever a time presently that you... I think I know the answer to this question. We kind of touched upon it earlier, but that you wish that your mom and dad would get back together?
Okay. Presently, I think in the back of every child who comes from divorced parents will always say, in another life, I wish my parents were together.
Yeah.
Or in the perfect world, my parents would have stayed together.
Yeah.
And I think even as an adult now, living in the real world, part of me wishes my parents would have worked through everything in the past and tried to stay together. Not just for me, but for themselves.
Let me ask you a question. Yes, for themselves, because you don't stay together for the kids. I can't stand that. Knowing who your parents are and seeing who they are, do you think it would be wise if they got back together?
I think the mature part of me doesn't think that's a good idea.
Okay.
I don't think it's a good idea because, I mean, I know that you have this opinion that not everybody's first person is like the person that they wind up with or whatever, you know?
No. I said, I again, there are exceptions to every rule, but I don't find it, I don't want to say normal's not the word to use here. I don't think it's particularly common or maybe even smart to marry the first person you date.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they were each other's first marriage, and I guess that's different than dating, but...
Yeah, like, they weren't each other's first relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I really don't know a lot of how I feel because I think a part of me doesn't like to think about it.
Okay.
Because sometimes it makes me emotional. Because really, at the end of the day, I wish at some point that they would have tried a little bit harder. Because, and this will stem back to my insecurity, and it's really cringy. But I think if my parents were still together, I never would have had issues with my weight and my dad bothering me about my weight, and then I would never feel the way that I do about my appearance due to my father. Do you know what I mean?
Not really, darling, because you said earlier.
I said earlier that a big part of the roots of my insecurity is because of the way my dad treated me after my parents divorced.
Ah, got it.
So I think in a life where they had stayed together, I never would have gained any of that weight. Because I ate a certain way when my parents were together because my dad cooked a certain way, my mom cooked a certain way. But when they separated,
yes, you did.
That's when my mom changed anything and everything that involved my father, and that included food.
Got it.
So I think
what we do to ourselves in our minds. So, like, if you would have stayed together,
I would be skinny.
And I'd be so secure.
Yeah.
No,
I truly think so. And I think that shows like the psychoticness of my insecurities.
That's all of us.
I revolve my life around the way that I look to other people and even to myself.
But like I tell you, there are people who look at you and wish that they looked like you.
I don't believe that.
I do.
No.
You don't think you don't think there's ever been like a person who honestly had 100, 200 pounds on you, looked at you and was like, oh, I wish I was her size?
No,
Or they look at you,
because
do you think they're looking at you and be like, no, that's still too big? Like, seriously?
I think that, and I think it's important to note that I'm a very pessimistic person.
Okay.
I mean, I like to say that I have some optimism in me. It's not like it doesn't exist, but primarily I see a lot of negative in things. So even the thought of a bigger person looking at me, it's not, oh, I wish I looked like them. I think they're thinking, well, even if I got down to that, you know, that's how I think that they're thinking.
Well, goddamn, Jessica. Oh my God. Well, I mean, at least you're honest about it.
I mean, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I said this on not another episode. It was an episode that we had recorded but didn't put out.
Yeah, because it was terrible.
But I had said in that episode that I am the most insecure person that I know.
And I said that I unfortunately agree. You are the most insecure person that I know.
I
I
mean,
try, but again, you got to get there.
you can't budge. You can't budge me.
I mean, because there's a difference between having insecurities and being insecure.
I am insecure.
Yeah.
I wish I would have like just like little insecurities about small things in my life, or even just anxiety about certain things. But like I said, my entire world revolves around, what do I look like? Do I look fat? Do I look stupid? Do I look like, what do they think I look like?
Yeah.
Do they think I look fat? Like, that's all I'm ever worrying about. And it will always revolve around my weight. And it's because I don't like the way that I look. And I want to take the moment to say, I want to take the moment to say, there is nothing wrong with being big.
No.
And this is the crazy, like, I don't know, like, the psychology behind this, because you and I have talked about it. So I am, I mean, talking about my sexuality really quick.
Yeah.
It's a little complicated.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm not really one for titles, but I'm not straight. And I wouldn't even go as far as saying that I'm bisexual, but if I really just, like, simplified it, like, yeah, I'm bi. I love women. I love them. But for me, it's purely, like, lustful, physical. It's all just sexual attraction. There's no romance there.
I'm thinking of Yolanda right now. She's like, I don't need to know this. I don't need to know this.
Oh, sorry, Yolanda. Sorry. Yolanda Vega. But, oh my God, everybody knows I'm bi. And so...
Oh my God.
But,
oh God, Steven loves it. Yeah. What?
Steven.
Hi, Steven. We love Steven.
I love you, Steven. And so, yeah, it's when I think about myself dating, like taking a girl out on dates, holding a girl's hand in public, like, I mean, that I don't really care. But, like, as far as just, like, displaying romantic relationships with a woman, I don't have any interest in that.
Are you saying you think gay people should be locked away and not show their affection?
Absolutely. I think they should be lined up and shot.
Oh my God.
But for me, it's pure sexual attraction. That's all that it is. It's really nothing more than that. And the funny thing about it is I have a type. I have a type when it comes to women.
Yeah.
I love big girls.
Yes, Jessica loves women whose bodies look like hers. Explain that.
I don't know. That's the crazy part. I love a thick girl. I love a girl with rolls and a belly and a big butt. And I don't know. They're so beautiful to me. Everything about them, every, like, curve and just, like, dimple. It's so attractive.
So interesting.
And I have all of those features, and I can't stand to look at it.
Wow.
I don't know, because, like, I mean, humbly speaking, like, I think I have a pretty face, but everything from, like,
remember
the
you said
chin
that
down. I've always said that. Like, I mean, I think sometimes I have really bad angles and I look ugly or whatever. But I think generally, like, okay, like, I'm cute. I'm cute. I think that much of myself. I think I'm cute. But no, when it comes to other women who have bodies like mine, I'm just like, I can't get enough of it. I just like, I'm literally, I could foam at the mouth. Like,
Oh my God.
it's beautiful.
No, it's so funny. It's the same thing as being able to, or not being able to take the advice you give to other people.
Right.
You can see the beauty in
yes.
someone who's built just like you, but you look in the mirror and see complete opposite, or feel complete opposite, because you're seeing the same thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, could you explain the psychology behind that?
Maybe in a couple more years.
Because I don't get it.
Well, I mean, again, it's just insecurity. But see, there's a part of you, I think, because you know it's insecurity. You're not applying your insecurities to other people. So you're not looking at them and projecting. You're seeing the beauty in them, but your insecurity stops it from seeing it in yourself. Yeah. It's quite interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, ladies.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on.
Oh my God.
I'm spoken for, so no ladies, but whatever. So, we're gonna move on a little bit to some questions that I have pulled up. We did this on the second episode that we filmed together.
And we said we were going to do it every episode, but again,
I don't do enough of my research. Again, our fan base is very small.
Yes.
So anybody who is watching, actually, I would really like to say anybody who is watching. I know we get most of our comments on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
If you could just drop a comment, like a question in the comments on YouTube, that would be really great, and we could use that for the next episode.
Smart. That's why she's the co-host. Yeah.
What can I say? So, again, I pulled a lot of these questions from TikTok because they have like a little Q&A tab. It's pretty cute. And I have some good ones today. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions.
Oh, God.
And I think we can keep it nice and simple. They're pretty cute questions. I like them. This one's pretty straightforward. What keeps you going every day?
What keeps me going every day? That's a very good question. What keeps me going every day is the feeling that I have. That's it. No, it's I feel good, and I want to continue to feel how I feel, and I don't feel how I felt before. It's a terrible answer, but no, it's not. I'm long-winded, so bear with me.
Finish the conversation you're having with yourself,
right? With all the voices in my head. When I was in, and I'm sorry for being long-winded. Actually, I'm not. This is me. When I was in rehab, my therapist said to me, wait, I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. Yes, he said to me that I will never feel as good as I felt when I was high. And he said, I am just going to have to resign to the fact that I will never feel that again and just get used to feeling good with, the good things in your life. And I've said this to you. Nothing in my life feels as good as being high. When I'm hugging my nephew, that comes the closest.
Yeah.
Or if, there's a plate of food in front of me.
Or when you're recording Permission Granted.
No, honestly, holding my nephew brings me the closest. But I guess, that's a chemical-induced something. Nothing's going to feel that way. So the feeling that I have now when I wake up, or when we're together, or when I'm at work or in class or whatever, it's not the feeling of being high, but it feels so good. I want to stay in that. So that's what keeps me going. I want to continue feeling how I'm feeling. And I know that if I was to go back to the chemical-induced stuff, that's a lie. And that's fleeting. I can live in this if I stay in this lane for the rest of my life. Why would I not want that? So that's what keeps me going. Yeah.
So what keeps me going every day is my family at home.
Mm-hmm.
So Joshua, my fiance, my animals, my cats, my dog, my siblings, my mom. I think I mentioned this to a similar question that I had asked about 2 episodes ago, of what's the reason that you smile or something.
Yeah.
I really just I have so much to go home to every day when I clock out, and that makes me happy.
Our answers are indicative of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was very self-involved, and yours was outside of you. And you know what? I am obsessed with myself.
Yeah. A big thing though is like money. Like every time I leave the house, I know I'm
Yeah.
going to work to clock in and make some money.
Oh, absolutely. Schweiger
Yeah.
money. Thank you, Dr. Schweiger.
Thank you.
Hi, Yolanda.
May is actually skin cancer awareness month. Get your full skin exams and you get a sticker.
And only get them at Schweiger Dermatology. We have over 90 locations. Call 973-571-2121.
I don't know if we're allowed to say that, but anyway.
I'm sure we are.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, it's like a non-paid sponsorship, right? I work there. Come see me.
No, but I want to say like that. That's very interesting. How our answers. I was very. How I feel. Me. And you're like, because of Josh and the dog and my family. But I mean, moving on.
Right. Which movie have you watched more than 3 times?
Oh my God. There's this porn. No.
Okay.
It's called Darlin' Marlin. No, it's, I've watched a lot of movies more than 3 times. The Lion King, the original.
Oh, same.
All About Eve. It's a Bette Davis movie. Mean Girls.
Oh, of course. I'm surprised that wasn't the first one on your list.
The Sex and the City movies. Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
I like that movie.
There are a few. My thing with I have to really, really, really like a movie to watch it over and over again because I know what's going to happen. It's different with TV shows and like dramas, but even with a TV show and a drama, I think it's easier to watch comedies over and over again.
Oh yeah.
Than it is to watch like I love Grey's Anatomy, but I don't really watch the reruns. I mean, I could, but it's
It's not like watching reruns of The Office. Like
no, it's not. It's not. But I'm sure there are other movies. Soul Food. I love that movie. Yeah, go on.
Movies I watched more than thrice. Jersey Boys. I can tell you the entire dialogue in the movie.
Yes, she can.
Armageddon. I've seen. Oh God, I can't even tell you.
Armageddon. It's Ben Affleck in that, right?
Yes.
I love that.
And Bruce Willis and Liv Tyler and Owen Wilson.
Yes.
And
I love
some
Ben
guy
Affleck.
named Tyrese. And
whoa.
I don't know his last name.
Gibson.
It's not. No, it's not him.
Oh, not the singer Tyrese?
No, he's like. You know what?
Is he black?
Yes. And now I'm not sure if his name is Tyrese. I'm pretty sure. But
Please don't
now.
say his name is Tyrese if his name is really not Tyrese.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
Backdraft.
Oh, Kurt Russell.
Yes. And the William Baldwin.
Oh yes, Backdraft is a very good movie.
I love that movie.
Yes.
I told my father-in-law about that, and he says that it's like so inaccurate.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I love to talk to him about it. Okay. How do you unwind after a stressful day?
Mucho masturbation. That's from Rent. Mucho masturbation. No. Unwind from a stressful day?
La vie bohème.
Yeah, La vie bohème. Food. When I pull into the driveway after work, if Jessica's off of work, I call Jessica. We talk to each other a lot. I think the only person that you talk to more than me is your fiance, honestly.
Yeah.
And
well, that's just because I live with him. But even when he's home, I'm on the phone with you.
That's very, very true. Oh my God. Yeah, but I come home, I'll call Jessica if she's off, and I'll smoke a cigarette. Cigarettes, one way I wind down, which is terrible. But it's usually food, and like I'm on YouTube a lot. I listen to a lot of music, and I like to lay in bed naked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I
All
unwind.
things you know.
I unwind.
I send you pics.
When I get home.
Sorry, Josh.
When I get home, I sit in my car.
Yeah.
And I stay there for like maybe an hour.
Me, you, and Sabrina. Hi, Sabrina.
Hey,
we get home. And like, yeah, I think you and Sabrina stay in the car longer than me. I'll stay in maybe half an hour. Sabrina will sit in her car for 2 hours.
I'll wait till Joshua gets home from work at 9 o'clock if I clock out at like 4. Like, I'm not going up those stairs. I live on the 3rd floor.
Oh my God.
I'm not walking up all those stairs as soon as I get home from a 12-hour shift.
No.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
But then I get upstairs and I take off all my clothes and I lay in my bed in my cold room and that's it. And then I go to sleep.
Yeah.
Because I don't do anything else after that. If I have food, if I'm hungry, I'll eat. But if not, I just go to sleep.
Right. And I watch a lot of like TV, of course.
Yeah.
I
Your thing right now is watching Karens on YouTube.
Yes, but I'm watching and Fatal Attraction on Paramount Plus, on Sabrina's Paramount Plus.
Oh, this is a good question. I'm so excited to tell this one to
Oh
you.
God.
What is your favorite food your mom used to cook for you?
I was raised by my grandmother. My mom didn't cook when I was a kid.
Okay.
But I can guess I can speak about something that she makes now.
Sure.
My mom makes good spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
She makes good mac and cheese. Her collard greens, as you know, are delicious. Yes. And my mom she's gotten better. She's gotten better. Because when she first started cooking again, you know, our journeys are our journeys.
Mm-hmm.
So when she first started cooking, the food was edible, but it was nothing like it is today.
Okay.
You know, and you know.
So what about what your favorite food that your grandmother used to make for you?
Oh God, everything. That my grandmother used. My grandmother used to make this pineapple coconut cake. I know you don't like coconut. It was delicious.
Oh, coconut, acid reflux.
Yes.
Oh.
And my Aunt Lisa makes a version. My Aunt Lisa's is good. It's delicious, but it's not homemade. Mm-hmm. So it pales in comparison, but it's very, very good. She also used to make this cherry peach cake that I've never seen anywhere else. Obviously, you know, cherry and peaches together is not like a combination that she invented. But she used to make this cake that no one in the family has tried to replicate. It was delicious.
You should try. Because I would like to try that.
Maybe. Her sweet potato pies were very good. She used to make regular sweet potato pies, and then she used to make some with coconut. I think that was just something she just came up with because I've never seen a sweet potato pie with coconut in it. My grandmother's stuffing was A+. There's someone in my family who makes it, and she made it with pork sausage, which is how it needs to be made. Because that stuffing with the beef sausage is disgusting. That my family eats on Thanksgiving. Yeah, everything Grandma made was good. She was very good for stretching a meal. When we would eat spaghetti growing up, you know, we had a house with over 10 people to feed. The sauce wasn't as thick as my sauce, as your sauce, because she added more water to stretch it. But those were good meals. Filled with love, cooked with love.
I love it.
Yeah.
A lot of if I had to pick a favorite food that my mom made, I mean, because, you know what? A good old chopped meat with cheese and rice.
We grew up eating that. Delicious.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Or ground beef, if you want to get technical. Chopped meat.
Chopped meat, thank you.
Not chopped meat. Chopped meat. Right?
Exactly like Sheila. Chopped meat.
She would put Munster cheese on it, and it was just, so good. Because a lot of what my mom cooked was what my grandma already cooked.
Yeah.
So, like, I think they're very much, like, neck and neck with, like, whose is better. Like, my grandma's stew is better than my mom's stew.
Okay.
And controversially, my mom's pasta fazool is better than my grandma's. Good. Oh my God, I haven't had it forever.
Yeah.
Oh, and I can go for it right now and get some bread. Right, delish.
Soup. Yeah, the viewers know you like soup. Remember that episode?
I love soup.
You said, I can't wait to go eat some soup.
I love soup. And I mean, my mom just chicken cutlets, right? Hamburgers and brown gravy.
Yeah, we grew up eating that.
My mom makes a mean sancocho. She really does for like a.
Still haven't had it.
My mom's like a good old fashioned like Sicilian woman, but she makes a mean sancocho. Oh my God, you're gonna try it one day. And or just like meatballs, like they're so good. But
Frozen
like
meatball.
my grandmas are like, you can't beat my grandma's meatballs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, pea soup.
I've never had pea soup.
Yes.
I'm sure I would like
the
it.
day after Thanksgiving, we
Does she
always
put ham
make
in it?
Yes.
Yeah,
because
you
she
have
gets
to.
the ham from
The bone,
Thanksgiving.
yes.
And she puts it.
Oh, we all do that, yeah. You
Yes.
gotta use the bone to make beans or collard greens or something like that, yeah.
Delish.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We talked about this because you made it recently, neck bones. My
Yes.
grandma made neck bones.
Delicious.
Oh my God.
And I sent the picture of them to Yolanda. Hi,
so
Yolanda.
delicious. In case you're watching and you know that you are.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love food.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that's it. So I think now would be a pretty good time to like kind of just close this out because we've been rambling for a while.
I know. Yeah, we have been rambling. I mean, again, this was supposed to be very Jessica heavy. I hope you feel as though you got to say enough.
Oh,
Honestly.
absolutely. I think the people at home definitely got a nice chunk of my personal life, and
Yeah.
as these episodes, go on and continue to be filmed, they learn more and more about both of us.
Okay. Well, I agree with that. I want you ask me a question. You asked me 4 or 5 questions. I'm going to ask you one last question before we close it out.
Okay. The answer is no.
Can you think of, we'll go with 2.
Okay.
2 good things to say about yourself.
Oh. What are you
I'm
going to
not
answer
done.
that? Okay.
And after you state those 2 good things, why do you feel that way? About, like, say I like my hair, and then give an emphatic statement on why you like your hair.
Well,
Or whatever
you're
it is.
steal my answer.
Yeah.
I think I am funny. I really believe that I'm a funny person.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always prided myself in making other people laugh or making other people feel comfortable.
Same.
And making people want to come back to me for that reason. Like, oh, I like seeing Jessica because she's funny. Oh, she always makes me laugh. Like, that's always been my thing. And I don't think I've ever met a person who told me that I was truly an unfunny person.
Oh,
and,
God.
yeah.
I can't imagine that.
And if they do, then, like, what's wrong with you, buddy?
It's like, listen,
Who put you on the planet?
I'm an acquired taste. If you don't like me, acquire some taste. Go on.
So, yeah, I do think I'm funny. What was the follow-up question?
No, because I want you to back up why you feel that way.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty much it. I when I was a kid, everybody always said, oh, this is Jessica, she's really funny. This is Jessica, she could be an actress. Like, this is Jessica, she's, and anytime I sometimes it had a little bit of backlash because, like, anytime I would, like, begin to tell a story and you know this more than anybody, like, I just go on and on and on. I can't stop talking.
Yeah, we have that in common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, oh, okay, here she goes. But it's entertaining at the end of the day. Because you get every detail. You get every laugh. You get every nook and cranny with me. Because that's how I tell stories.
I mean, and when people that we know mutually, when you're around them and then they are then around me, they always have something positive to say. Mm-hmm. Hi, Lindsay. Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I am funny, and and Lindsay can say that because every time we
Lindsay thinks you're hilarious.
We don't work together anymore because she switched locations, so you see her more often than I do.
Yes, I
do. But when I do bump into her, like at dinners and stuff, it's always like, Jessica, you are so funny. Yes. That's how she says it.
And it's nice coming from someone like Lindsay because she's genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No, I miss her. I love her, and she's another good thing. I mean, I don't want to just kind of like take what you said about my hair, but that is something I really do like about myself.
Oh, yeah.
I've always loved... Well, that's actually not true. When I was a kid, I hated having curly hair because the maintenance is just insane, and it's knotted, and I hate brushing my hair, and I used to cry sitting between my mom's legs and just sob because
textured hair is everything.
Yeah. And
period.
I think I learned to love it as I got older because I just saw how beautiful curly hair is on other people and how I could maintain it, and I went to this like really big chop, and that's when... Go ahead.
Question. And I know we're supposed to be wrapping it up, but you just said you saw how beautiful curly hair was on other people. Mm-hmm. And you're able to see women who have bodies like yours and you think they're beautiful. Mm-hmm. Why can't you apply that with the hair? Where's the disconnect?
I don't know. I like, it's just as simple as I learned to love it, and that was it. Mm-hmm. Because I saw how, I learned how easy it could be to maintain, and it didn't have to be as complicated as it could be if you just did all the right things and you took care of it, and it will be beautiful all the time. And I don't know, but I remember I didn't start really loving it until I had gone through this big chop and my hair was really, really short and it was shorter than what I wanted it to be. Once I learned how to style it and maintain it, that's when I really began to like fall in love with it.
Yeah.
And my curl pattern changed a little bit because my hair was always curly, but it was never, there was no maintenance. So it looked like fried. I was dyeing it every month and I didn't use the right like conditioners or the right brushes for my hair texture. And I think the biggest thing on why I'm so biased when it comes to curly hair, or why I truly just simply love curly hair, is because of all the culture behind it. Because I get my curly hair from my mom's side of the family. My dad's side, my Hispanic side of the family, they all have straight hair. It's all straight, long hair. My mom has like really curly hair. You've seen her hair before.
Oh yeah, well she's Sicilian. She's like the how they used to be looked at as the N-words of the white people.
Exactly.
Sicilians, yes.
But that's why I take so much pride in my curly hair, because anybody can look at me and assume, oh, because you have tan skin and curly hair, you speak Spanish. Oh, you must be Latina. Like, it's like, well, yes, but I don't get my hair from that side. I get it from my white side of the family.
Yeah.
And people are like shocked. It's like a culture shock because they have no idea
Yeah,
of
because
like
we have
the
ideas
history.
of how certain people are supposed to look and stuff.
And
like
I think
that.
I'm just really prideful of like the history of why my hair is the way that it is. Because you also look at my mom, she's just like pale white woman and she's got really curly hair. It's like, where does that come from?
Yeah.
It's because she's Sicilian.
Well, I wanted to we're about to close out. I wanted to explain the frozen meatball thing. I called Jessica's mom frozen meatball because she cooked meatballs, and then Jessica sent me a picture of her outside smoking a cigarette in the cold. So I call her a frozen meatball. She does not use frozen meatballs when she cooks. They're all homemade.
Never. Oh my God.
But
I didn't even think people would think that, but thank you for elaborating.
That's just me overthinking. Before we close out, I want to say to you, to say again, I hope that, you feel as though you got to express enough, because this was supposed to be a very Jessica-heavy episode. But then I started talking about my family, and,
okay.
I want to say to you, you are my best friend. And I don't want to imagine my life without you. However you may feel about how you look or how people view you, I think you're beautiful. And I will never not think you're beautiful. And I think you're beautiful because you are beautiful. You have an amazing heart. You get on my nerves when I have to repeat myself to you sometimes. And I said you remind me of my mom. But you are a joy. You are a treasure. You're the first person I speak to when I wake up. You're the last person I speak to when I go to bed. I swear. The only person you talk to more than me is Joshua. I just want you to know that you are beautiful, you are good enough, and whatever was told to you in childhood, whoever made you feel whatever type of way, they are wrong. And that's really it. I love you from the bottom of my heart.
I love you too.
And yeah, when I was given this podcast and when I was told that I had complete creative control, I'm like, well, I need a co-host, because if we're going to be honest, people who have watched the episodes, the show is better with you. Let's just throw that out there. You are a star, and I don't mind sharing whatever platform I have, big or small, with you. I love you. So yeah.
If you want to marry me, you can just say that.
Grow a penis. This has been a wonderful episode. We're going to go out and eat. Don't really know where you said hibachi.
Maybe hibachi, but it's also Cinco de Mayo, so those Mexican places are
places
poppin'.
are going to be crowded. I'm going to have so much anxiety. But next week, again, we're not going to say what we're going to talk about because we always end up changing it.
Right.
But I do want to thank everyone for tuning in. And do you want to say anything before I do the real closing?
No. I mean, the only thing I do like to say when we end the episodes is thank you for watching, and you could find me on Instagram at Jessica Marie INT, and all my other social medias will be on the screen. And we can I don't know, just like, share, subscribe, comment. And don't forget to ask the questions in the comments so we can answer them next episode.
Yes, please leave some questions in the comments. I'm going to say thank you to Jessica. Thank you for watching at home or on the plane, in the bathroom, on the toilet. Yeah, and we'll see you next time. This has been Permission Granted. Bye.
Bye.